Oh, I think success is being fulfilled. Feeling a sense of fulfillment, meaning you have a sense of purpose, you're doing what you feel like you're doing either good in the world, or you're doing whatever it is that you intend to do, or even if it's something you didn't intend to do, it's something that makes you think, good, there's a benefit. So my goal in the beginning was to be a diplomat.
Oh, really?
Yes. When I was in 10th grade, I was going to study international affairs and become a diplomat. I went to school in Washington, D.C., and I interacted with diplomats' kids and people in Washington, D.C. and all that kind of stuff. And I loved it. I loved going to school in Washington, D.C. and I did study international affairs, and I liked that very much. But I also learned that might not have been who I was in the world, because diplomats are very... they don't dress like this, they dress like business people, and they have a certain mannerism and way of being in the world, and they make high-level contacts and stuff like that, And my opportunities after college, I thought about... After college, I wanted to just serve somewhere. I wanted to go to another country and serve somebody. So I went to Egypt and taught. So this was through the Presbyterian Church at the time. So at the time I had been involved in the Presbyterian Church, and my choice at the time was to do Peace Corps or do something like this. And at the time it was Ronald Reagan was the president, and I didn't love that, and I didn't really want to be representing the United States government at the time. And so this opportunity came up, and I was like, sure, and I could start right away. Well, after teaching in Egypt, I moved to Utah and did temp work, and then I got a job at Planned Parenthood and did clinical assistant, which is equivalent to what's called medical assistant now. And so I took blood pressures and took people's blood to do pregnancy tests and did pregnancy counseling, and helped the provider and stuff like that. So that was really cool. I liked it a lot, but then I was looking for ways to put it together, and I decided to do a master's in public health. So I did a master's in public health, and then went back after for a job to another Planned Parenthood and did basically health education or sex ed. So, and then later I got a teaching certificate because I thought, I love all these populations I got to work with. That was the greatest job in the world, the Planned Parenthood job as an educator, because I got to work with all different kinds of people.
So what made you get out of there?
I was doing the same kind of thing over and over and over, and I needed to do something different. So the main things I was doing were talking about sexually transmitted diseases and birth control methods, like over and over and over, and sometimes some different stuff, but I wanted to do something else. But what I loved about that job was all the different populations I worked with. So I would go in schools, middle schools, high schools, I went to jails, I went to churches, I went to work with the developmentally disabled people. It was just super cool.
That
and also
cool.
Kids and their parents, we did puberty workshops with kids and their parents. It's just so much fun, doing that, because everybody's interested also in the topic of sex or puberty or whatever, that kind of thing. So it's not like people were hating being there. They liked being there. So, but I did miss, because when I was in Egypt, I taught ESL a little bit, and I taught high school students, and I missed the ESL aspect, and so I volunteered through the years doing ESL. And so after Planned Parenthood, I got my teaching degree, and I thought I might go teach middle school in the regular high school, but this job at Highline came up, teaching ESL here. So my work at Highline has evolved. So I am definitely not one of those people who said, I'm not like ambitious, right? Like, this is what I want to do, and that's what I'm working towards. I've been more of a meanderer. So the core themes have been education and healthcare. Mm-hmm. So I am putting those two things together, and that's cool. So that's good. Yeah.
So do you have any advice to our generation coming up on that?
Well, I know it's not your interview, but what's your definition of success?
Mine is just, for me, it was always about being content.
So if I knew that somebody's definition of success was going to be contentment and enough money to feel stable, then I would tell them that they definitely need to get higher education.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what you're doing. And if you're saying talk to your generation, I would say try to get, you know, more education, and also, I mean, some kind of practical skill as well, you know. So make that education something that is both good broad knowledge to help you think and be aware of what's going on in the world, but also something practical that you can do when you go out there. Like, you can always fall back on doing whatever, that kind of thing. So that's one thing I didn't have, is I didn't get a teaching certificate my first time around, you know. So I couldn't come back to the United States from Egypt and start teaching because I didn't have a teaching certificate at that time, you know. So it's really nice if you have something practical and you have that other, you know, stuff. And also, the more education you get, the more likely you are to make more money, because that's the way our society is. And also, you'll figure out what you're most interested in. So I think for you guys, I would, you know, with anybody, not just your generation, but like, what is it that turns you on? What do you want to hear more about? What do you, when you read about it, you say, oh wow, that's so cool, I want to hear more about that. When you get on the internet, you go down that path and you keep going that way because that's an area that you're interested in, then that tells you something. So whatever floats your boat right now, go with it. Go with it. Because, you know, you never know when it's going to come back to you. Maybe it will come back to you, and maybe you'll put these things together. Like I ended up doing, like, international affairs. I'm not doing anything like that, but I'm working with people from other countries every day. You know, like, I get that satisfaction by being at Highline.